Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and today I'm very excited to have Maestro Eric Jensen in our studio for the second fitting of the beautiful suit that he's making for me right now. This is the second piece that follows on this first beautiful dark gray fresco. And I'm particularly excited because this is in fact the inaugural shoot here in our new studio, in our new warehouse. I couldn't be any more excited to have Eric here with me. Eric,
Awesome.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's nice
Kirby.
seeing you.
It's always great to be here. It's cool to be in the new space.
Yeah, so really happy to have this dedicated space, and it's fun to be able to have you here filming with us for the first time.
Yeah. I'm glad to be the initial kicker-offer.
And especially since I had the privilege of visiting your new space on the Upper East Side, which I have to say was beautiful and really perfect for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited to be there. Super excited to be on Madison Avenue, you know, to keep that theme of luxury and tradition alive that's so prevalent on the avenue. So.
Well, and this has been a banner summer for you, and I know we'll get into this later, but not only have you moved into your new space in New York, but you've got, of course, the, kind of merging with Sartoria Gallo, your, kind of maestro. And then also, I was very jealous of you being to travel to Italy and to Rome, during the summer. I had a trip to London in July I had to cancel, but you made it.
Yeah, we got lucky. I don't know how it even happened. It's like we bought these tickets like 3 months ago on a wing and a prayer, and then it was like 3 weeks before they were like, oh, I guess we'll open up. And then like a week before, they're like, we'll open up a little bit more. And we're like, fantastic.
Yeah.
So hopped on the plane and got over there. The great thing was I was able to see Maestro Luigi Gallo, Maestro Marco Gallo, both of them, who I hadn't seen in face-to-face. I hadn't seen them in probably 10 years.
That's amazing.
So so it was a great time to be there and a great experience, an ability for us to kind of toast in this new partnership to bring the Gallo name to the United States, and for me to be now once a student, now working alongside them. So it was great to have a seat at the table, as my friend said.
Absolutely. Well, that's actually, in every single literal sense of the word.
Exactly.
Coming from student, and 10 years later actually being a partner is a huge accomplishment and must feel surreal at moments.
Yeah, it was very surreal. I think I pinched myself a couple times, and my wife pinched me as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, not to tease too much, right? Not to get ahead of ourselves,
Yes.
but one of the things that we are going to talk about here in another video that you can find the link to in the description of this one is about your new tailoring school, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to kind of come full circle there, you've got some exciting plans in place to kind of help extend that opportunity to other people.
Yeah, definitely. To give the youth, and especially in America, the opportunity that I fought so hard for, to kind of give it to them in a way which is a little more palpable, and then also have that opportunity hopefully blossom into another opportunity.
Yeah.
So
we'll talk more about that later, because there's a lot to talk about, what it takes to become a tailor, how to become a tailor, and this was a journey. This was really a journey that you did alone and kind of blazed the trail on.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good 9 year journey.
Yeah.
With a very patient and loving wife. And,
There you go.
Necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got my beautiful Eric Jensen piece on right here.
Yeah.
This is the first piece you made for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Beautiful fresco. I love how you're wearing it as well, and I've seen you wear it often, and I think it suits you very, very well.
Well, this was a fabric that you picked out for me,
Yeah.
Similar to the one that we're fitting right now.
Yeah.
This is the second fitting. So this really showcases, my slightly formal aesthetic in terms of how I like to dress.
Yeah,
So it's a dark gray. I'm wearing it with a white shirt. It's a beautiful sovereign grade
Yeah,
kind
I
of
love
a
that.
jacquard tie.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right? But at the same time, it's this beautiful fresco that's great for summer.
Yeah, it is, and it's the nice, beautiful open weave. The cool thing about it is we gave you the 14-ounce one, so it gives you a little more strength and structure to it, because I know that you like that as well. And so it tickles both our boxes.
Yeah.
It gives you that formality, that strength, that kind of built-upness, and then for me, it gives me that still soft, lightweight, easy to wear kind of jacket. Yeah. So I think we did a good job.
Well, and soft shoulders,
Yeah.
and beautiful lapel roll. It's a 2-button.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Of course, cut for braces, nice, really kind of high-waisted,
Yeah.
trousers, which I have to say, everything these days I'm having cut high-waisted and for braces.
Yeah. It's a thing that I have a lot of conversations with my clients and about is this cutting them for a waisted trouser, because nowadays we call them high-waisted, but in reality it's on your waist, so it's a waisted trouser. But for the majority of the world,
versus a low-waisted trouser,
versus
like a low-rise.
or your hip.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation I always have with my clients, especially the first time I cut for them, because I tell them, I cut your trousers to sit at your waist. And I get looks, and I say, over time you will realize that these are actually more comfortable. They hang better, they drape better, and they give you room where you want them and no room where you don't want them, which is a fantastic.
Are you cutting most things for braces, or are you still doing tabs with no braces? It's still at the waist?
It's a client preference. If I had my way, everyone would wear braces, because the thing about braces is you can add room to the waist and the trouser doesn't fall, but it gives the client the ability to gain and lose, especially during the day, because when we start off our day, we're at one weight, but when you finish your day, you usually gain a few pounds. And that's just over the course of eating and, retaining water, things like that. So you're always going to plump and expand as you go throughout your day. If you have braces, you can add
even more
that.
Dramatically throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, we go that far, it's even more. So you can keep the waist at that, and then the body can expand into that waist by the end of the day. But the trousers never move because of the braces. It also keeps the trousers hanging cleaner. It just helps everything just look a little more put together, a little more. It's put together without showing that you're put together, because no one knows you're wearing braces. Like if you didn't open your coat, no one would know. You know what I mean? And so if I had my way, every client would wear braces. But I don't have my way, so I have to, make sure that I give the client what they need, as well as try and, push them in the direction that I want them to go.
And if someone is doing tab trousers, which, I've had plenty of tab trousers made.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Are you still cutting at the same place on the waist?
Oh, yeah. Every trouser I would say, you can't say every, because it's 98% of the time. There are those clients who you don't want to break them up that way, because they may have a shorter torso, they may have longer legs, so you don't want to give them such long legs. So you always have to base everything off of the client. It's the other thing I get asked a lot is like, what's your house style? And I tell them I don't have a house style, because if I have a house style, I'm making you dress in my way. But if you're going to a bespoke tailor, you're getting a coat for yourself. At the end of the day, you're the only one wearing it. I'm not wearing it. I see you once, twice, 3 times a year, and that's it. In that manner, I have to make sure that the client gets what the client needs within the realm of both of us having the conversation where we're both happy when that coat leaves the Sartoria. The only thing that I will say about house style is there's a house foundation. So you don't come to me for an English suit, because that's not smart. Because that foundation will always be Italian. And so if you're looking for a foundation of a suit that has that Italian foundation to it, but then you want to build off of that into a coat that works for you aesthetically and for me aesthetically, then we have what we want. In that case, there's no house style, there's a house foundation.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the piece that we've been working. This is the second fitting.
Yeah, so we're in the second fitting phase. Beautiful Dormeuil cloth. Which is fantastic. It's from their Echo bunch. So it's a really, really elegant cloth that actually has strength to it, but also lightweight as well. So it's kind of hits that happy medium. The other beautiful thing about it is like that color. Like it's a gray, green, kind of blue, and so
really it's a blue-gray.
Yeah, it's like a blue-gray, but there's that hint of there's a hint of green to it, but you don't see it. Like it just kind of registers. If that makes any sense. I think that anytime that you can pick a cloth that has that little subtlety to it without being ostentatious, so that someone goes, that's a beautiful cloth, but I don't know why, that means you picked a good cloth.
Well, that's the essence of bespoke, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's looking great and someone not really being able to put their finger on it.
Yeah, not being able to go,
Yeah, it's like, I love your, red pinstripe, suit, like that's not classic elegance.
And the lining's all floral.
With floral lining and, red buttonholes.
Exactly. So I think it's a great piece, and I think you'll be able to wear it very often. I would call it a 3 to 4 season suit, depending on where you live. I mean, here being in Dallas, I think you can get away with 3 to 4 seasons. But maybe in the dead of winter in New York, you might need to put a top coat.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about where we are in this process for someone that hasn't seen our other videos.
Yeah. So we're on second fitting now. Second fitting at this point has the lapel on. The pockets are cut. The shoulders are usually sewn, but they sometimes aren't. It just kind of depends on how happy we are in that regard. But the collar is basted on, the sleeves are basted on, and the lining is basted in, so it's not completely finished. This gives us both an opportunity to look at details. So I can look at balance, and now you can see that the coat is actually turning into something. So you can see there's a gorge now, there's a gorge line. You can see where the pocket placements are in relationship to the button stance and things like that. So that way you can have a conversation with me about your aesthetic eye. Maybe that button stance feels a little high to you. Maybe that button stance feels a little low to you. So we can have that conversation in which we can now start working on those details. And that just allows us both to see a coat in a way that we both want to. Because, for client, to see it in this form is easier for them to register than in the fully basted form.
And we have the link to the first fitting in the description of this video. But talk to us a little bit about just contrasting this to the prior fitting, the first fitting, and then what would be the next fitting?
So the contrast between the two fittings is first fitting comes in a complete basted shell. So this is the coat at its most raw, where the inside, if we turn it inside out, is literally just the canvas showing. So you have the horsehair canvas and then you have body canvas, and then that's it. Every other piece of this jacket is basted into its form, shape. So all these white stitches here, those are all the basting stitches. So that's basically like the coat's put together, but it's not really. So it can be ripped apart, and the good thing about that is it allows the tailor to be able to adjust the coat while it's on the client's body. So that way we can adjust shoulders, we can adjust balance, we can adjust sleeve pitch, everything like that.
And this is important because every cloth drapes a little bit differently on the client's body.
Exactly, and that's why I usually require at least one fitting in this stage, or at least in that stage that we're going to do your fitting in, even if I have a long-term client, because some cloths are going to hide flaws, and some cloths are going to show flaws, and some cloths are going to show flaws in different areas. And so you always just want to have that one time where you can just adjust it and just go, okay, that's right, or no, we need to adjust for this because the cloth is showing X, Y, or Z. So
and so no facings on the lapel. I mean, this is again not even really attached via a
So this isn't even pad stitched. The lapel's not pad stitched. It's just floating. Canvas is floating. No pockets are cut. I have like the mark where they're going to go, which is like this, but everything's kind of negotiable at this point.
Okay.
So
this would be a first fitting, and then what about, provided you're really happy where this is, what would the next fitting look like?
So next fitting is where we're at with you. So as you can see with this coat, we have your lapels on, they're finished. We also have them pad stitched, so you can actually see the stitches in the back of the lapel. And then we have your pockets cut with your flaps in. We have your lining basted in, but it's not finished yet. So we have your pockets that are cut on here, but they're not cut into the lining yet. Then we have your shoulder. We have it sewn on this one because I liked where it was last time, and I'm fairly confident with it. And then your sleeves are basted on, so you can see the white stitches there. And then your collar is also basted on. But the rest of your coat is pretty close to finished.
So back seam done.
Back seam done, side seam's done. Darts are all where they want to be. So so we're at about 90% completion at this point.
And then what about the next fitting after this?
So next fitting after this will be completely done aside from the buttonholes, and that's about it.
And the buttonholes on the front of the jacket.
On the front of the jacket,
and
the cuff, and the lapel.
Okay.
So those all won't be done yet. And the main reason why is because that's where we really can hone in where we want your button stance. That's also, sleeve lengths, they're always like...
well, you need the shoulder finished in order to know how the sleeve
because
falls.
you're going to have that roll in it. So right now it just kind of is cascading, where if you put a little bit of a rollino, which we're going to do less than what you have on this coat now, it's picking that up and still bringing it back down. So your sleeve length is always going to be like give or take a few. You cut those buttonholes. You're going to have that distance.
Making life difficult.
You're really setting yourself up for failure. So in that case, we always want to see it on the client one last time before we cut those sleeve buttonholes, and especially on the fronts to make sure that we got that button stance for you. Right.
And I see that the trousers are done.
Yes.
So again, the trousers, the first fitting, were basted together just like the jacket.
Yes.
Could have been ripped apart. But again, the trousers are a little bit easier to nail. So by the second fitting, are they generally taken straight to finish?
But generally, unless your first fitting is like, we really want to, not way off, but we really want to like make sure we get some things like nailed down, So like sometimes if a client has a fuller thigh than I anticipated, or even a fuller seat or things like that, then I want to be able to see it a second time so that I know that I've let out enough, and I haven't let out too much. So for that reason, I might have a second fitting with a pair of trousers. For you, your first fitting was pretty right on. So I'm confident to go into this final fitting. Whereas now it's like, maybe we take in the waist, maybe we shorten the length, things like that.
All pretty minor
Yeah,
adjustments.
pretty minor adjustments. Things you'd have to do off the rack.
Well, great. Well, let me put it on and let's have our fitting.
Exciting.
All right, so we're back. I've got these trousers on. And Eric, I mean, I have to tell you, these feel incredible.
Yeah, they look beautiful. I think the fronts are absolutely stunning.
I mean, look at that drape. And I have to say, this cloth is just
I was going to ask you, how does it feel?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it is probably some of the softest cloth I have.
The beautiful thing about the cloth is it's very soft. It has a beautiful drape, but it works really well. Like, I'm able to iron it really nice. I'm able to add the stretch and the shrink to it, and it holds it. So a lot of times with a softer cloth like this, you lose that ability. But yeah, as you can tell from these.
Well, talk through a few of the details of the trousers, because this is a very Italian kind of cut. We can show some of the interior details as I was kind of buttoning everything up.
You were finding your way.
Discovering new things.
Yeah. For you, we cut it a little bit different than our normal house style, and that's just because it's the way that you like it, and I've learned that over your last pair of trousers, and especially having your pattern on file at the Sartoria. I know, from my notes what you like. So we cut them a little bit fuller just because I know that's how you like it. You liked some room in the knee. You like to be able to have that drape to them. So for that, I think we nailed it. We gave you the watch pocket, which is that beautiful piece right there. We make ours a little bit deeper because now people like to put their key fobs in them. So it's a good place to kind of just hide it away, keep it in that belt loop. Single pleat, reverse. You have a fly front. Whereas normally we do a button front, but you have a zip front, which is fantastic and easier for you.
Well, I appreciate you at least giving me a few less buttons,
yes.
a few fewer buttons than normal. There's still quite a few in here.
There are, yes. So inside we'll show later, is what we call the pancharina or the tira da pancia, which is a piece that kind of keeps everything held together on the inside.
Well, it's got a beautiful hidden button here, right, that creates a very clean front.
Very clean front.
And especially for tap trousers or braces, I mean, this is exceptionally clean through here.
Yeah, I really like this. A lot of times we do add a longer or prolonged waistband, but I was talking to Marco about it, and he really thought that we both kind of agreed that this would be a really beautiful way to show off this trouser and this cloth. So we went with this kind of closure for you.
And I'll just unbutton this. So there's another kind of hidden button right here.
Yes, that goes into the waistband.
That goes into the waistband, so you can see that kind of right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We undo this. I'm not going to reveal too much, right, because I've got long tails on my shirt.
Fantastic.
But the zip fly. Now, normally this could be 5 buttons.
Yes, it would be 4. It would be 4 buttons plus that added button up there.
Yeah. So it's like you're like 8 buttons into the restroom, and.
I will say, I'll tell a story while you're unbuttoned. Yeah. That I did have a client who was fearful of that event, but had told me that he ran to his hotel room really urging to go to the bathroom, and came out and looked at me and said, "You know what? That wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be."
The buttons were easy to rip off.
They're easy to come off and to get back on. So. Just
as long as the buttonholes aren't, made too small, which would be a terrible prank to pull on a friend.
It would be, exactly. So this is the pancharina, or the tira da pancia. Basically means to hold your gut in. Yeah. And that keeps your shirt tucked in all the time, gives you accessibility to go to the bathroom. It also keeps the front of the trousers not taking the brunt of the force. So the force of your body is now going up against the pancharina and not the front of the trousers.
Yeah.
So
it's not going to pull across
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, cut for braces. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful.
It's fantastic, and the drape is exponentially better in my opinion in this manner, and so I think they're stunning.
Get these buttoned. There we go. And, beautiful kind of button pockets right here.
Yep. So we did a bism on the fronts, just something that's a little bit different than normal and keeps you with a nice clean front as well.
Yeah. And then we did no pocket on the back left because I don't really use that.
Yep.
And then we did a button pocket right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. I mean, these trousers are a dream.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy sitting in those.
I can't, this is the thing about Dormeuil cloth, is it really is some of the best stuff out there.
It ruins you.
And, it really will ruin you. You know, once you go there, it's probably difficult to walk that back.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing to indulge in.
So next we have, of course, the grand finale here, the final jacket. And this, of course, very lightweight. You know, it's great cloth.
Very lightweight, very soft on the cloth, soft in the shoulder, so nothing inside. The inside is still just exactly what we saw on that other coat, which is just the horsehair canvas, the body canvas. We do put a little bit of a canvas just right through here to keep that shoulder to stay up nice and clean, because we don't always like a drooping shoulder unless we're going for that look. So that's about all that's in there. So no pad, no nothing else.
Well, it's amazing how much variation in the weight of a jacket you can have between, say, a really heavy English structuring.
Yes.
This could be completely independent of the cloth, just what's inside.
Just what's inside.
You know, compared to, you know, Italian tailoring, and especially Southern Italian tailoring, which, you know, just is so much lighter on the inside of the jacket.
Exactly. So it's all about, you know, what goes into that foundation. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier is we don't have a house style, we just have a house foundation. So this is our house foundation. This is what we want. This is how we want our clients to look. The aesthetics, you know, that's all negligible.
Well, let's put it on it.
Yeah.
Well, it feels
Feels as light as those trousers?
feels great. I mean, yeah. I mean, again, one of the beauties of a bespoke jacket is just the way that it sits on the shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, you don't feel it. It's just so neutral.
Yeah, and it's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not holding you in any particular way. And that's the other thing that I really want is I want the coat to just kind of be as natural as possible on the client.
I mean, people oftentimes, I feel like, skew away from tailored clothing because of the perception that it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
But I
which
think
is
that
the
this right here
opposite.
goes to show you that if done well, your tailored clothing should in fact be the most comfortable garment you own.
Exactly.
I mean, think about how much more comfortable these trousers are than a pair of denim jeans.
Oh yeah, and that's what I always talk about is like when you're traveling in jeans, you're so restricted in everything. But in these, you're almost in your pajamas.
Oh,
but
gosh,
you're
yeah.
dressed well.
If I only had pajamas, it was comfortable.
Yeah, you'd sleep better at night.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let me check it out. It helps me to get a further eye so I can see. Yeah. I like the way that it's draping. I think your chest looks fantastic.
It's very clean, a little bit of fullness.
A little bit of fullness just to give you shape, you know, which you may or may not have. It's all about creating that eye. And so that's the main thing that we're looking for, is to create, you know, the aesthetic of having that perfect figure, even though we all don't have it.
Well, that's the point of a truly beautiful bespoke garment, right?
Yeah, it's the ability to cover up flaws, you know, and we all have them. It's the basic facts of life because no one is a perfect human being. So what we do in tailoring is to give you your best body. You know, I can't make you an Adonis, but I can give you something better than what you
Well, but you know, I guess the bespoke tailoring at its finest is really balancing out the aesthetic. So if you've got, you know, one super dropped shoulder, it's balancing that out. If you've got wide hips, it's making them look a little bit less wide.
Exactly.
And so really, you know, kind of sculpting the look to just even everything out and make it look more elegant.
Yeah, exactly. And that's our goal.
Yeah, well.
So I'll have you turn so I can check out your back. Nice clean back. We give a little bit of room in the blade just underneath where the sleeve pitch is, and that's for maneuverability. To be able to do things like that. But your back goes nice and clean into the hollow, gives you a nice ability or room for your blades as well.
So I've got a particularly difficult back. Why don't you talk a little bit about kind of what makes that challenging?
So the challenging of your back is not only that you have the sloped shoulders and you're quite low on one side, you also have full blades, so they're prominent, they stick out, and then you have a sway in your back as well, where it comes almost to nothing into here and then out to your seat.
Yeah. And so part of the goal, of course, I feel like, you know, there's two areas with a bespoke jacket that you can really kind of tell how well it's been done, or just any jacket, bespoke or not. You know, one is just the drape of the sleeves, but the other is just the drape of the back panel.
Yeah, exactly. Just the way that it follows that curve in the back. Because men have a lot of curve in that, or most of us have a lot of curve in that back. And off the rack suits or a lot of suits, that aren't bespoke don't pay attention to that because it's that built-in line.
Yeah.
And so if you have that built-in line and you're always going to have that built-in line, then you especially are going to have your suits come off your backbone and just cascade straight down. So they just come off your blades and just go cascade. Yep. And so you just be really full in the back.
What about balance and length? And I mean, what else are you kind of looking at here?
Yeah, so that's the other thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at length, which I like the length of this coat. I think it breaks you up really nice. I have your buttoning point at here, which in your navel's where, right about there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're about 2 fingers up from that, which is usually rule of thumb. Yeah. You know, for you, I don't want to elongate your torso too much. Mm-hmm. You're tall enough, so you don't need that elongation. So for that matter, I like to keep it right about at your center point.
Yeah, well, great. I mean, it feels, I mean, it's not done, but I mean, it is exceptionally comfortable.
Good,
I've
good.
got great range of movement.
Yeah.
And again, going back to this just neutral state that I kind of described earlier, I mean, it sits on the shoulders. I'm not feeling any pressure on the shoulder blades. I don't feel anything on the neck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I have to say, I mean, this is the beauty of a bespoke tailoring relationship is that, you know, the more iterations you have, really the easier it becomes and the better it gets.
Yeah, exactly. The more we learn each other's language, not only your aesthetic language, but your body language and how you use your body and how you move. So that's the other important thing is to always to always be honest with one another in that regard, because you'll feel things that I can't see. And the more that you can conversate with me about what you feel helps me understand how we can make that coat better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always what we want to do.
This is absolutely beautiful. What about vents and anything else?
Yeah, so we got your side vents. Right now they're taxed down, and mostly that's just because everything's kind of basted into place. We can release them just to see how they hang. Fantastic. The main reason why we tack them down is just to make sure that we have the room that we want for your hips. But yeah, still clean, nice, double vented.
And how high do you take them up? Because I know many tailors have different approaches.
Yeah, so we keep them in line with your pockets. Okay. So where your pocket line is also where your vent line is. Not a lot, but I have seen tailors who put them quite high up.
Yeah.
Not fully aesthetically pleasing to me, but to each their own.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people will see this coat and go, it's not aesthetically pleasing to me.
Yeah.
Because everyone has their own mind's eye.
And talk a little bit also just, you know, for people watching, you know, what are the characteristics of this suit that make it uniquely Roman?
Yeah.
And unique to maybe even Sartoria Gallo, right, in terms of, you know, just different elements of the pattern, the cut, the way it's constructed.
Yeah, so our coats, you'll always be able to know them by this front dart. And this is uniquely Sartoria Gallo Roma and Sartoria Gallo New York. Straight down to the hem, which a lot of people will see in Napoleon coats, and it's a very southern inspired aspect of our coats. But the thing that we did is we moved this dart forward just a little bit and moved your pocket back a little bit so that this dart doesn't get interrupted and the pocket comes straight off of it. Napoleon coats, the dart will come down and the pocket will come out away from it.
So the dart kind of goes behind the pocket.
Exactly. And so you have like a space of pocket that's in front of the dart. Maestro Luigi Gallo saw this and thought that was not as attractive as it could be.
Yeah.
And so what he wanted to do was to make it more aesthetically pleasing, to make it more cohesive. So he just shifted that dart forward and shifted that pocket a little bit. And so you have that nice clean kind of L, or, you know, that kind of intersection right there.
Yeah. And that dart's necessary because this is a single panel.
Yeah.
Versus a lot of the British stuff, which has a front panel,
and then
a side panel in order to give it that shape,
exactly.
and then the back
and then the back panel. So yeah, so ours is one full panel. We keep this to keep your skirt real nice. This bottom part of the coat is called your skirt, nice and clean and organized. And then we use this dart under here to give you that shape.
Okay, so there's two darts. There's one. This one goes all the way down in front of that pocket, and then the second one just right here, kind of on the side.
Yeah, exactly.
That's beautiful. And then, you know, also, I mean, again, not to be redundant, but, you know, talk a little bit about kind of the structure of the shoulders.
Yeah, so structure in the shoulder is just going to be that horsehair canvas in the chest, usually ends right about there. And then we put another piece of canvas that comes off across here to give you that staying stability on your shoulder, so that it doesn't collapse. So you can see these come right off of the shoulder and clean hang without having it fall.
So it's not structured, but it's still clean.
It's still clean, yeah. And so that's the thing about Roman tailoring is us Romans, we realized that we really loved the Napoleon look, but we had to have our clients go to work. And so when they went to the office, they had to look presentable.
Yeah.
So what we tried to do and what we do is try to find that happy medium between that relaxed look, but also the ability to show up to the office and
Yeah.
look presentable to clients.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I love so much about regional tailoring, especially Italian regional tailoring, is so much of the aesthetic of that, that particular genre of tailoring is a function of just the environment in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, Naples, which is right there, it's southern Italy, it's hot, it's right on the Mediterranean, it's very casual. Their tailoring style has evolved to really fit that and embrace that lifestyle. Rome, which is not far from Naples, I mean, an hour and a half, right? I mean, it's Naples is like, a distant suburb, you could say. But it's a more formal city. It's certainly more business-oriented.
It's a seat of power.
It's, of course, the capital of Italy.
Exactly.
And so, the tailoring style evolved to really kind of embrace that. We go up to Florence, which is kind of somewhere in the middle. And their tailoring style again is a bit different.
Yeah, and they err more towards the Milan side, whereas Rome would err more towards the southern, the Neapolitan side. And then you have the other extreme, which is the Milanese side, which is all business, all cooler climate, more of that kind of feeling. So their suits represent that.
Yeah, and a much larger, city, of course, much larger economic center than Rome.
Yeah.
And so again, you're going to have more businessmen, running multinational organizations.
Yep. So they have to cross those international boundaries and have their suits show.
Yeah. I mean, there's as many, different styles of, I feel like, tailoring in Italy as there is cheese and wine. It's really amazing.
Yep, and
different pastas.
Yeah, exactly. It's that same, and each region in Italy has its own pasta and its own, favorite way of making a pasta and stuff like that. So it's the same with tailoring. And then even like you can go, all southern Italy is all the same, but then Sicily tailoring is probably not the same as Napoleon tailoring, even though they're in that same vibe and idea.
Yeah.
So
that's what I love about tailoring is that there really is a language to it.
It is,
right, and there's a dialect to it.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of kind of finding a bespoke tailor that you get along with, whose style you really appreciate and can embrace.
Yeah,
and then getting out there and just kind of experiencing different things. And I think what's really exciting is that you're in New York, right? So Americans can have access to this without having to fly all the way to Italy, which. Let's be honest, prior to this, you had to.
Yes.
And especially with everything going on right now just in the world where the Italian tailors really can't come to the United States, for the better part of 2 years, people haven't had access to their tailors.
Yeah.
Save, you and maybe, a few other of the tailoring houses that have presences here in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what are the next steps on this? I mean, I'd love to just walk out with it. I mean, and I feel like I could.
Yeah. We got to put a collar on it. We got to have put your sleeves on for fully on. The other thing I want to make sure is we address this problem, which is you have a little bit of a pull away, a collar gap on this side, which is fine when you're standing still, but it's not fine when you're moving about. So that's the only thing that we want to make sure that we take care of. You like to show a little bit of cuff? This is probably too much cuff, and that's probably right. Yeah.
It's one of those beautiful details, and whenever it's right.
When it's right, it's right. Yeah, and when it's not, it just draws unwanted attention.
And I mean, even more so to me, I just become so self-conscious. Like, not for other people, but it just bothers me whenever it's not right.
Yeah.
It'll drive me nuts. I'm constantly
and you'll just always yanking on it and messing with it. Yeah, and then also just to show the camera, it's a really great sleeve pitch. So really happy about the way that we have your sleeve pitched specifically for your arms. And then, that's about all I think I would do. So I'd take care of that, lengthen your sleeve on that side. Really happy.
Yeah, that's just small little kiss.
Yeah, it's such
what is this, 1/8 of an inch?
Yeah.
I mean,
and everybody's different, in their particularity on how much they want to show. A lot of times people are looking for hard and fast rules.
Yeah.
But a lot of things is your own individual preference, and I know that you're really into that kind of just that nice little 1/8 of an inch right there.
Yeah.
Which is a nice clean, look for you.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys want to show a little more, some guys don't want to show any, so you have to work within those realms.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Where do you, I mean, quarter of an inch, like between
Yeah.
an eighth and a quarter?
Yeah, I'm
no
pretty
more
close
than
to
a quarter?
no more than a quarter. Yeah. I mean, if I had my way. For a lot of times on my own stuff, it's like, I don't want to shorten or lengthen that sleeve. So you go with what you got. But yeah, other than that, it looks good. So we'll put the collar on, make the adjustments that we want to make, and then next time I see you, we'll probably just make sure that we got sleeve lengths right, buttonings right, and everything else.
Yeah, next time you see me, we'll have to start looking at more swatch books.
I know. Yeah, it's fine with me. Yeah. It's always fun to make for you, Kirby.
Eric, hey, thank you so much for coming down.
Oh, it's great to be in Dallas.
This suit, wow, I mean,
You'll enjoy
this
it.
might become my new favorite suit. This is amazing.
I'll allow it.
Yeah,
Awesome,
thank you.
man. Thanks for having me.
So there we go, Eric Jensen. I mean, you know, just the process of going through a bespoke fitting with a master tailor like Eric is an experience in and to itself. It's just really hard to describe. And one of the things I love so much about that bespoke process and that bespoke relationship is that it does, in fact, get better with time. This is a great example of just how effortless this process was, you know, how great this suit feels and fits. And that's all part of that process of iteration. Also, you know, a bespoke tailor is a master of cloth. And again, this is a cloth recommendation that Eric made totally of his own to me. I hadn't seen it before they picked it out, or before he picked it out. And it is an absolutely just beautiful, elegant, classic cloth that just makes this suit really up there among my most favorite already, and it's not even finished. So if you want to find more about Eric Jensen, of course, he's based in New York. He does travel around the United States holding trunk shows and doing bespoke fittings. You can find more about him on Instagram, Sartoria Gallo NYC. We've got a link in the description of this video. And his website, sartoriagallo.com. If you want to see our other videos with Eric Jensen, of course, take a look at the links in the description of this video. Otherwise, I look forward to having him back here soon for the final fitting and delivery. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for watching.